After 70, places that once seemed harmless can turn into real danger zones. You might not even realize that a simple visit could lead to serious consequences. What if I told you that one of these places doubles your risk of a life-threatening fall? Or that a routine trip to a familiar spot could trigger a stroke? Stay with me until the end, because the last place on this list is the most deceptive, and even healthy people fail to see the hidden danger. As we age, our bodies become more vulnerable, and what once seemed like a safe, everyday environment can turn into a hidden threat. Statistics show that 1 in 4 adults over 70 experiences a serious fall each year, and these accidents are the leading cause of injury-related deaths among seniors. But falls aren't the only danger. Crowded spaces, poor air quality, and even temperature changes in certain locations can increase the risk of strokes, heart attacks, and respiratory infections. A simple outing to the wrong place at the wrong time could lead to months of recovery or even permanent health damage. The worst part? Many of these risks are completely avoidable if you know what to watch out for. By the end of this video, you'll not only learn which places to avoid but also how to protect yourself if you ever find yourself in one. Stay with me, because the last place on this list is the most unexpected, yet it's one of the deadliest for seniors, and most people never see it coming. Public swimming pools and hot tubs might seem like the perfect place to relax, exercise, and socialize, but after 70, they can become one of the most dangerous places for your health. The warm, humid environment is a breeding ground for bacteria, viruses, and fungi, making seniors particularly vulnerable to infections. Have you ever left a pool feeling a little off, maybe a mild cough, itchy skin, or irritated eyes? It might not be just the chlorine. Studies show that public pools can contain high levels of bacteria, including Legionella, which causes Legionnaire's disease, a severe type of pneumonia that can be deadly for older adults with weakened immune systems. A 72-year-old woman in Florida developed a serious lung infection just days after using a public hot tub, and doctors traced it back to bacteria commonly found in poorly maintained pools. Her condition worsened rapidly, and she spent weeks in the hospital fighting for her life, all because of what seemed like an innocent dip in the water. But infections aren't the only risk. The slippery surfaces around pools and hot tubs make falls incredibly common. One misstep on a wet tile, and you could find yourself dealing with a broken hip or a head injury. And here's the scary part: after 70, 1 in 3 seniors who suffer a hip fracture never fully recover their mobility, and complications from these injuries can even shorten life expectancy. Have you ever noticed how difficult it can be to regain balance when stepping out of a pool? Water makes you feel weightless, but the moment you step back onto solid ground, your muscles and joints have to adjust quickly, something that becomes harder with age. For people with arthritis, reduced muscle strength, or even mild dizziness, this transition can be dangerous. And then there's the hidden risk that almost no one talks about: overheating and dehydration. Warm water raises your body temperature, and for seniors, this can strain the heart, leading to sudden spikes in blood pressure or even fainting. A 75-year-old man in Arizona collapsed after spending just 20 minutes in a hot tub. His body was struggling to regulate temperature, and his blood pressure dropped dangerously low. If he hadn't been pulled out in time, he could have drowned. The truth is, as we age, our bodies don't regulate heat as efficiently as they used to. That's why heat exhaustion and dehydration are much more common in seniors, even in places where you least expect them, like a swimming pool. So, what can you do if you still want to enjoy the benefits of water exercise? The key is choosing the right conditions. Instead of public pools, look for private pools with strict sanitation standards, or consider hydrotherapy pools designed specifically for seniors. Always wear non-slip water shoes to reduce fall risks, and if you use a hot tub, limit your time to no more than 10 to 15 minutes and make sure someone is nearby in case you feel lightheaded. And one last tip: always hydrate before and after swimming, because even in water, your body loses fluids, and dehydration can creep up faster than you think. Have you ever experienced dizziness after swimming? Have you ever questioned whether a pool was truly clean? Let me know in the comments. And don't go anywhere, because the next place on this list is one that almost every senior visits regularly, without realizing how dangerous it really is. Crowded shopping malls and supermarkets might seem like ordinary places, but after 70, they can become unexpectedly dangerous. You might think, I've been grocery shopping my whole life, what's the big deal? But the risks aren't always obvious, until something happens. Picture this: it's a busy weekend afternoon, and you're walking down the aisle, scanning the shelves for your favorite brand of tea. Suddenly, someone rushes past you with their shopping cart, barely missing your side. You take a small step back to steady yourself, but your foot lands on something slippery, a spill that no one has cleaned up. In a split second, you're on the floor, in pain, with people gathering around. This exact scenario happened to John, a 75-year-old man who went out for a simple grocery run. One small fall, a fractured hip, months of painful recovery, and suddenly, his independence was gone. Falls in crowded places are far more common than you think, and they're not just about slippery floors. Seniors naturally experience slower reaction times, making it harder to avoid unexpected obstacles, like a child running past, an unattended cart in the aisle, or a sudden push in a packed checkout line. And once you hit the ground, the consequences can be devastating. A broken hip or wrist doesn't just take weeks to heal, it can permanently reduce mobility, leading to a loss of independence. Studies show that seniors who experience serious falls are twice as likely to enter long-term care facilities within a year. But falls aren't the only danger lurking in busy stores. Think about the air you're breathing. Shopping malls and supermarkets are enclosed spaces filled with people, many of whom may be coughing, sneezing, or carrying airborne viruses. Research shows that older adults are significantly more vulnerable to respiratory infections like the flu, pneumonia, and even COVID-19, especially in high-traffic areas with poor ventilation. Have you ever noticed how you sometimes feel fatigued or slightly unwell after spending time in a crowded store? That's because places like these are hotspots for germs, spreading illness far faster than most people realize. And then there's the cardiovascular risk, one that most seniors don't even think about. A busy shopping trip can be physically exhausting, with long periods of standing, walking, and sometimes carrying heavy bags. For those with heart conditions or high blood pressure, the added stress can be dangerous. There have been numerous cases of seniors experiencing dizziness, shortness of breath, or even heart attacks while out shopping. The combination of physical exertion, stress, and the heat from packed stores can put enormous strain on the body. So, how can you stay safe without giving up shopping altogether? The best thing you can do is adjust your habits. Avoid peak hours. Early mornings on weekdays are the safest times to shop when the stores are less crowded and the floors are freshly cleaned. Use a shopping cart for extra balance, even if you don't need it for groceries. It provides stability and helps prevent sudden missteps. If you have balance issues, consider using a cane with a rubber grip for added security. And when it comes to hygiene, always carry hand sanitizer, avoid touching your face, and be mindful of those coughing or sneezing nearby. Have you ever felt overwhelmed in a crowded store? Have you ever had a near miss with a shopping cart or felt unsteady on your feet while carrying groceries? Let me know in the comments. And don't go anywhere, because the next place on this list is one that seniors love visiting, without realizing the serious risks that come with it. Outdoor hiking trails and uneven terrains might seem like a great way to stay active and enjoy nature, but after 70, they can become unexpectedly hazardous. You might think, I've been walking my whole life, why would a simple trail be a problem now? The answer lies in how your body changes with age. Balance, muscle strength, joint flexibility, and even vision can decline, making once easy paths far more dangerous than they seem. One wrong step on a rocky or uneven trail, and you could find yourself in a situation where help isn't immediately available. Take Walter, a 78-year-old retired teacher who loved hiking. He had been walking the same forest trails for years, but one day, his foot caught on a tree root he didn't notice. He lost his balance and tumbled down a small slope. His ankle twisted badly, and he was unable to stand. He had his phone, but there was no signal in that area. It was 3 hours before someone finally found him and called for help. By then, he was dehydrated, in severe pain, and struggling with the cold. What should have been a relaxing morning walk turned into a medical emergency that left him with a fractured ankle and months of rehabilitation. The problem with hiking after 70 isn't just the risk of falling, it's how your body responds to an accident. A younger person who trips might get up with just a few scrapes, but for seniors, even minor falls can lead to fractures, head injuries, or dislocated joints. Studies show that bone density decreases significantly with age, making older adults more prone to serious injuries. Additionally, our ability to react quickly declines, meaning you might not catch yourself in time to prevent a hard fall. But that's not the only risk. Dehydration and heat exhaustion are far more common in seniors, even on mild days. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at regulating temperature, making it easier to overheat without realizing it. A simple walk in the sun can lead to dizziness, confusion, or even heat stroke. Have you ever noticed yourself feeling more fatigued than usual after being outside for a while? That's because aging affects your body's ability to conserve fluids, making hydration even more critical. A 74-year-old woman in Arizona learned this the hard way when she went for a short afternoon hike and started feeling lightheaded. She thought she could push through, but within minutes, she collapsed from dehydration. If it weren't for a passing group of hikers who found her, the outcome could have been much worse. Another hidden danger is poor circulation. Many seniors experience reduced blood flow to their legs, making long walks uncomfortable or even risky. Have you ever felt a strange numbness or tingling in your feet while walking? This can be a sign of poor circulation, which increases the likelihood of tripping because you may not fully feel the ground beneath you. Poor circulation also makes it harder to recover from injuries, meaning a minor sprain could take weeks instead of days to heal. So, how can you stay safe while still enjoying nature? The key is to modify your approach. Stick to well-maintained, paved paths rather than rugged trails. Always hike with a companion, never alone. Bring a fully charged phone and a small emergency kit, including water, a whistle, and basic first aid supplies. Wear proper footwear with strong ankle support and good traction to prevent slipping. And most importantly, listen to your body. If you feel dizzy, fatigued, or unsteady, don't push yourself. Have you ever had a moment where you felt unsteady on your feet while outdoors? Do you know someone who experienced a fall on a hiking trail? Let me know in the comments. And stay with me, because the next place on this list is one that most seniors visit regularly, completely unaware of the hidden dangers it holds. Public restrooms in high-traffic areas may seem like an unavoidable necessity, but after 70, they can become one of the most dangerous places you can step into. You might think, I've used public restrooms my whole life, what could possibly be different now? But the reality is that as you age, the risks increase dramatically. From unsanitary conditions to hidden fall hazards, these spaces pose multiple threats that many seniors underestimate, until they experience a serious incident. One of the biggest dangers in public restrooms is the high concentration of bacteria and viruses. Studies have shown that restroom surfaces, especially door handles, toilet flush buttons, and faucets, harbor bacteria like E. coli, norovirus, and even MRSA, a drug-resistant superbug. For younger people with strong immune systems, brief exposure might not be a problem, but for seniors, the risk is much higher. As we age, our immune defenses weaken, making infections more likely and harder to fight off. A 73-year-old woman in Chicago caught a severe gastrointestinal infection after using a poorly maintained restroom at a highway rest stop. She spent a week in the hospital recovering from dehydration and complications, all because of an invisible threat she never saw coming. But germs aren't the only danger. Slippery floors are a serious hazard, especially in restrooms with poor maintenance. Water splashes, leaking sinks, and recently mopped tiles create a nearly invisible risk. Imagine walking into a restroom, feeling fine, and then suddenly your foot slides out from under you. One moment, you're standing, and the next, you're on the floor with sharp pain in your hip or wrist. Falls in restrooms are particularly dangerous because the hard tile floors increase the impact, leading to fractures, concussions, or even life-threatening injuries. A senior in Florida suffered a severe head injury after slipping in a gas station restroom. The emergency responder said if she had hit her head just slightly differently, it could have been fatal. And here's something most people don't consider, the risk of being unable to get up after a fall. Many seniors already struggle with mobility, and getting up from a low position, like a toilet or the restroom floor, can be extremely difficult without support. If you fall in a locked stall, it may take longer for someone to find and assist you, increasing the risk of complications from injury or shock. This is especially dangerous for those with conditions like arthritis, osteoporosis, or even mild dizziness from medications. Even the act of using the toilet itself can be risky. Sitting down and standing up requires lower body strength and balance, and many public restrooms don't have grab bars to assist. Have you ever felt slightly lightheaded when standing up too quickly? That's called postural hypotension, a sudden drop in blood pressure, which is more common in seniors and can lead to fainting. A 78-year-old man in New York passed out while standing up from a toilet in a public restroom. Fortunately, someone was there to call for help, but not everyone is so lucky. So, how can you protect yourself? First, Always choose restrooms in well-maintained locations, like department stores or hotels, rather than gas stations or outdoor public areas. If possible, use family or accessible restrooms, which are often cleaner and have more space for movement. Always wear non-slip shoes to reduce the risk of falls, and be mindful of wet floors. If you have balance issues, consider using a cane with a rubber grip for added support. Carry hand sanitizer and avoid touching your face before washing your hands thoroughly. Have you ever walked into a restroom and immediately felt uncomfortable about its cleanliness? Have you ever slipped, or nearly slipped, on a wet tile floor? Let me know in the comments. And stay with me, because the last place on this list is the most surprising. It's a spot that seniors visit all the time, completely unaware of the serious health risks it carries. Casinos and entertainment venues may seem like a fun way to pass the time, but after 70, they can be one of the riskiest places for your health. You might think, I just go for a little fun, what's the harm? But the truth is, these places are designed to keep you inside for hours, and that's where the danger begins. The bright flashing lights, loud noise, long sitting hours, and even the air you breathe can have serious consequences, ones that most seniors don't realize until it's too late. Picture this: Margaret, a 74-year-old woman, loved visiting her local casino with friends. It was her way of socializing, staying engaged, and enjoying a little excitement. But one evening, after a few hours at the slot machines, she suddenly felt lightheaded. She had been so focused on the game that she hadn't noticed how much time had passed. She had barely moved from her seat, hadn't had a sip of water, and the artificial lighting made it impossible to tell how late it was. When she finally stood up, she felt her legs wobble, her vision blurred, and within seconds, she collapsed. The paramedics later said she had suffered a mini-stroke, something that might have been prevented if she had taken regular breaks, stayed hydrated, and been in a place with better air circulation. One of the biggest risks in casinos and entertainment venues is how they manipulate your sense of time. With no windows, no clocks, and constant stimulation, hours can pass without you realizing it. For seniors, this is particularly dangerous because long periods of sitting increase the risk of deep vein thrombosis, DVT, a condition where blood clots form in the legs due to prolonged inactivity. These clots can break loose and travel to the lungs, causing a life-threatening pulmonary embolism. A study found that people over 70 who sit for more than 4 hours without movement have a significantly higher risk of developing DVT. Have you ever noticed how stiff your legs feel after sitting too long? That's your body warning you that circulation is slowing down, and the longer you sit, the more dangerous it becomes. But that's not all. The loud noise levels in casinos and entertainment venues are another hidden threat. Research shows that prolonged exposure to high decibel sounds can increase stress levels, raise blood pressure, and even contribute to heart disease. If you already have a heart condition, the constant noise and flashing lights can trigger spikes in blood pressure or even arrhythmias. Have you ever felt your heart pounding after a sudden loud sound? That reaction is your nervous system going into overdrive, and for seniors, that stress can be overwhelming. And then there's the air quality. Many casinos still allow smoking or have poor ventilation, meaning you're breathing in secondhand smoke and recycled air filled with chemicals and bacteria. Even if you don't smoke, just being in that environment can increase your risk of respiratory infections, worsen asthma, or trigger allergic reactions. A senior man in Nevada, who had never smoked a day in his life, developed chronic bronchitis after spending years visiting smoky casinos with friends. His doctor told him that even limited exposure to poor air quality had slowly damaged his lungs. So, how can you protect yourself if you still want to enjoy entertainment venues? First, set a strict time limit before entering. Use an alarm on your phone to remind yourself to take breaks, get up, and walk around every 30 minutes. Stay hydrated. Casinos often offer free drinks, but be mindful of caffeine and alcohol, which can dehydrate you further. If you feel overwhelmed by the noise, step outside for fresh air and give your body time to recover. Most importantly, listen to your body. If you feel tired, dizzy, or unwell, leave immediately. Have you ever lost track of time in a casino? Have you ever felt exhausted or unsteady after a night out at an entertainment venue? Let me know in the comments. And stay with me, because in just a moment, I'm going to reveal the most critical takeaway from everything we've discussed today, one simple action that can help keep you safe no matter where you go. Imagine this: you're feeling fine, just going about your day, visiting one of these places like you always have. You're not thinking about hidden dangers. You're just living your life. And then, in a single moment, everything changes. A simple misstep on a wet floor, a sudden wave of dizziness in a crowded store, a few hours too long sitting in a smoky casino, suddenly, you're on the ground, struggling to get up, or in a hospital bed wondering what went wrong. You didn't see it coming. You didn't think it would happen to you. This is the terrifying reality for thousands of seniors every single day. A fall, an infection, a moment of disorientation, these things don't just affect your day, they can change your life forever. 1 out of every 5 seniors who falls suffers a serious injury. Many never fully recover. And here's the hardest truth, many of these situations are preventable. But only if you know what to look out for. Think of all the little choices you make, where you walk, where you sit, what you touch. Those choices can mean the difference between years of independence or months in a hospital bed. Between a life full of energy or one spent in recovery. And it's not about fear, it's about awareness. It's about knowing how to move through the world smarter, safer, and stronger. Because no one ever thinks it will happen to them until it does. So now you know the 5 most dangerous places after 70. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you ignore it and hope for the best? Or will you take control, make small adjustments, and protect yourself before it's too late? Now you know the truth, some places you once visited without a second thought can become dangerous after 70. But here's the good news, awareness gives you power. By making small adjustments, choosing the right time to go out, and being mindful of hidden risks, you can continue living actively and independently without unnecessary danger. It's not about avoiding life, it's about navigating it wisely. Which of these places surprised you the most? Have you ever had a close call in one of them? Share your experience in the comments, I read every single one. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video that could help protect your health and longevity. Stay safe, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next one.